Hi everyone, this is Andrea Howe with Remax Results coming to you from Frederick, Maryland. I service all of Maryland and I'm going to attempt to answer your questions today about how's the market? I get this question every day, and so welcome to my monthly market report. We are in April of 2021 and things are getting a little hairy in our inventory. Many buyers, not enough sellers. Let me see if I can explain why that's going on and why this is not like the crash in 2006, 2007. Um, so let me just start with a snapshot. Year-to-date changes in key metrics. This is going to be important. Overall, this year, it's been a year of the pandemic. Showings are up 49.5% from last year. Now, part of that is because last year we went a shutdown, but also it's because demand has just grown. People are stuck in their homes and they want to move. Purchase applications are up 39%. That means that not only are we showing more homes, but we are also actually, getting people pre-qualified and purchasing homes. However, pending deals are down 0.5%. That is mostly driven by lack of inventory. If there was more inventory, we probably could have sold 20% more homes. There just aren't any on the market. Now, existing home sales are up 9.1%. New home sales, that's basically builders, 8.2%. Now, the existing home inventory from a year ago is down 52%. That is causing a lot of havoc for a lot of our buyers. And new home inventory is also down 4.6%. Now, on the other hand, mortgage rates, it looks like they're all over the place. However, it's actually pretty steady. We started at 3.7. We are right now hovering around 3.18, depending on what your credit score is. So, it really depends a lot on what loan product you have, what your income level is, all these things. So, but around the average is 3.18 right now. It had dipped down into the twos, but that's still insane. My first house I purchased was at 10% interest. My parents' first house, 18%. So at 3.1%, we are still at a very affordable level. The lower your interest rate, the more house you can afford. Now, home sellers and home buyers have gotten really used to these extremely low rates, and rates even in the 3s to 3.4 remain extremely affordable by historic standards, as you can see the senior economist is saying. I don't think that the rate going up is going to squelch demand in the least, because it is still so affordable. Now, our problem, like I said before, is the housing inventory. I have a lot of sellers who are terrified of selling right now because they don't know where they're going to go. There's no inventory. As you can see, the United States is down 52% year over year from last year in inventory. And here in Maryland, we're down 57.2%. That is not sustainable. However, this shortage has been coming for a long time. And as you will see, part of it has to do with our population explosion, and part of it has to do with the last bubble. Builders really didn't build. So house prices nationwide recorded the largest annual and quarterly increase in the history of the HPI. Low mortgage rates, pent-up demand from home buyers, and a limited housing supply propelled every region of the country to experience faster growth in 2020 compared to a year ago, despite the pandemic. This pandemic hasn't slowed people down at all. I think I had my best year yet, masks and all. Now, single-family housing units completed, and this is where part of the problem comes from. The only way to increase inventory is actually to build it. And as you guys know, builders were building like crazy in 2004, 5, 6, and 7, and then we had a crash. Builders stopped building, but our demand was still there. The population continued to increase, and we've had 13 straight years of below the 50-year average of home builders building. What that means is that the demand keeps going up and up and up. There's no end in sight at this point. The population keeps growing, and the builders at this point cannot keep up. Part of that is lumber supply. I know a lot of my buyers that are currently waiting for their homes to be completed are waiting because there's no windows, doors, refrigerators to be had. Now, are we in a crisis because people are using their cash out refinances and they're using their homes as an ATM again? I think that's a big concern for a lot of people. You know, should I buy? Shouldn't I buy? Are these prices reasonable? Are people cashing out? And is there going to be another crash? Let's see. Right now, 2006, you remember everybody was cashing out on their mortgages, and that's what caused part of the problem. So in 2006, we had $321 billion of cash out refis. Now, compare that to 2020, 153. We have more equity in our homes, not as many people are cashing out. Now, the tappable equity, the amount of equity that is available to people to actually take out in a cash out refinance, back in 2006, and my picture's in the way, was much lower than it is now. Now, the tappable equity is the amount available for the homeowners to access before hitting a maximum of 80% loan to value ratio. So let's say you have a $100,000 house, you're only allowed to take out about $80,000. So you can see that there's a lot more tappable equity in the United States right now. Now, the actual cash out refis back in 2006, it was $4.6 trillion, whereas right now the tappable equity is 7.3. So we have a lot more equity. However, the actual percentage is way down. Look, in 2006, 89% of people cashed out on their equity, whereas only 33% are doing it right now. Total cashed out, 321 versus 153. Obviously, you can see people are not going crazy. They learned their lesson in 2006. So the residential real estate market is on its biggest tear since 2006. True. Just before the housing bubble burst and set off a global recession. Yet in nearly every meaningful way, today's market is the inverse of the previous boom. In the mid-2000s, loose mortgage lending standards enabled borrowers from poor credit histories to purchase homes beyond their means, sometimes with mortgages that required low payments in the early years of the loan. I think we can all remember that anybody was given a home. I knew someone who got $1 million home who was making less than $50,000 a year. Of course, that's going to be a problem later on. So, with demand for homes outpacing new listings, buyer competition continues to intensify. On average, there were 4 offers per home sold closed in February. I can tell you here in Maryland, that is not true. We have more than 4 per house. I just had a home in the 700s that got 9 offers. I know a lot of the houses in the lower regions get 15, 34 offers. Now, that's not to tell people don't buy. That is to tell people, put your houses on the market. They will get many offers, you will get top price, and with more and more people putting their homes on the market, there will be some place to move for you. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic that I will be discussing in a webinar in about 2 weeks called Scared to Sell. Anyway, according to NAR's latest February confidence index, a monthly survey of realtors about their transactions. 1 year ago, there were 2 to 3 buyers for every home sold. The intense competition has led to double-digit price growth and properties selling in record time. To get back to a healthy supply level equivalent to 6 months of monthly demand, an additional 2.7 million homes should be on the market for sale. We are just in an inventory crisis. Now, here again, we're talking about average numbers of offers received. It says 4.1, that is an average. I have seen 4 for one house, 9 for another, 34 for another. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy a house right now, but remain reasonable. I think a lot of the people buying right now are millennials. They are smarter. They're not going to make the same mistakes their parents made, and they're not really overbidding. The people who are overbidding and often getting are the ones who are paying cash with no appraisal. But there's still plenty of houses. I still get my buyers under contract without going insane. Now, is this like the last time? Should we be worried? I think I've already kind of answered that. What my opinion is, I keep seeing a lot of YouTube videos that are saying, everything is going to crash around us. I don't agree. Here is the average annual appreciation for those crazy years back in 2006. So this is actually 5, 4, 3, 2. The annual appreciation was about 10.3%. Now, the average annual appreciation for the last few years now is 6.3%. You can see that, the appreciation, while very, very good right now, is not that insane. Back in 2006, it was inflated. It wasn't an actual market. Now people actually are qualified. And so it is making appreciation possible because of low inventory. Once we get to more steady inventory, we will actually see the house appreciation dropping off a little bit. Not below, it's not going to go below, but instead of having 6%, we might be at 4%. Anyhow, excuse me. Of course, in the middle of a video, I have to cough. So part of the problem back in 2006 and before that was that there were a lot of loan products that were very risky. You didn't really have to prove your income. It was easy to get a mortgage, and all of those products have gone away. So you can see how the product risk is absolutely non-existent now. There are no portfolio loans that just give you money just because you want it. Nowadays, people do have to really prove that they can repay that loan. So the borrower's risk is lower, because banks and lenders are so meticulous in making sure that they can repay. They're not putting people in risky loan products that they're going to default on. So the lending standards have gotten a lot stricter, which will protect people who are buying now and will protect our economy because it's not going to default. Not everyone is going to default. Even with the pandemic, people being in forbearance, most of the people in forbearance actually are paying their mortgage. The few that do not have a plan have equity in their home and can sell it and will be absorbed into the market immediately. Now, months of inventory. Again, 2006, 2007, the inventory was so inflated, the prices were so inflated, and people were getting loans that they could not repay. Fast forward to now, 17 through 2020, our inventory is super low, demand is super high, interest is low, and people actually qualify for their mortgages. And that's kind of driving the appreciation right now. And as you can see, it's not comparable. We're not in another crisis. We're not in another bubble. So it's not just a seller's market. It's a super seller's market. This is an incredibly competitive home buying environment. I have a lot of home buyers. They have to write more than one offer. However, we do get them into really nice homes at not crazy prices, and they still do have to appraise. Listening to our local appraiser here from Wayne 6, he was explaining that about 30% of appraisals are coming in low. So even though people are offering crazy amounts over asking price, that's not necessarily sustainable. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be upside down, because the appraisal still has to be done. And oftentimes the appraiser will calm down and say, yeah, no, it's not actually going to sell for that much unless you have a cash offer with no appraisal. So don't be afraid of overpaying. If you have a loan product, the appraiser will remain calm even if we don't. Now, the American home equity skyrockets. If you had a house in 2020, your average gain was $26,000 in equity. That is really good. If you were in the stock market, would you take that bet? Having a home, being a homeowner over renting definitely creates wealth, even if you don't cash it out. It's like a piggy bank. Your house is your piggy bank. Now, the current average equity of mortgaged homes is $204,000, and 38.2% of homes actually don't have a mortgage. They are owned free and clear. If you ever listen to Dave Ramsey's Debt-Free Scheme, that is, a lot more people are doing that. They're paying off their homes. Anyway, that's a 16.2% increase in equity, totaling over $1.5 trillion of equity. Now, the change in home equity year to date, if you kind of look at Maryland, because I am coming to you from Maryland, 26,000. We're actually at the average of the US. That is not a bad return on investment for living in your home and not renting. Now, to kind of explain how this works, and let me turn myself off so I can lead to you. Imagine a situation where I'm trying to fill up a bathtub with water, but the drain is open and the faucet is on. Think of the faucet being on as the flow of sales or listings coming onto the market into the bathtub. And the drain at the bottom is the sales that have been closed and are sort of going out of the other side. And at any point in time, the amount of water left in the bathtub is your inventory. And so what happens in the housing market is we've got the faucet open at the top, we've got the drain open at the bottom, and once a month we measure how much water is in the bathtub. Now, keeping this analogy going, the less open the drain is at the bottom, the more flow in the top, the more inventory or water is left in the tub at that measurement point, which I would say a normal inventory is about 6 months worth of inventory going on. Turn it the other way around. If the flow at the top is slower, as in but the drain is wide open, the level goes down and there's less inventory. And so these are the dynamics at play. The inventory measure at its measure today only measures at one point in time. But what's missing is a whole pile of water might have come into the bathtub and out the drain before you even knew it. And so there we look at measure like days on market, how fast or what is the velocity of markets. And what's happening today in our market is the average days on market is 21 days. A lot of homes are flowing into the top of the bathtub and flowing out the other side before we even get a chance to measure them as part of the inventory. Now, what's true is that our days on market are probably closer to 4 or 5. If a home is priced well and packaged well, as in we have good pictures, maybe it's staged, that house is going to last one weekend. That's it. I don't see houses on the market for 21 days. And our current level of inventory, not taking into consideration that whatever comes in goes out immediately, goes under contract, it sits at about 1.1% in this area. Now, depending on what county you're in, Montgomery County, they move much faster. You move to Frederick County, we're about 1.1. We were at 0.9% or 1.9 months of inventory a month ago. In Washington County, we're like at 1.8. So if you're moving from one county to another, from one state to another, keep that in mind. That's something you want to ask your realtor about. If you're moving from, let's say, Montgomery County to Washington County in Maryland, as a seller, you have all the power selling in Montgomery County and then buying in Washington County. You're going to have more power as a buyer because there's not as many buyers. The demand is not as high. You have more listings. So that's why you need a trusted realtor to help you along the way, hold your hand, tell you how much equity you have in your home. Is now a good time to buy or sell? If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Hopefully I will be back in a month's time to let you know that inventory is creeping up. Again, there's no bubble coming that we can see. Of course, we do not have a crystal ball, but things are different. And again, join me for my Scared to Sell seminar if you are thinking about possibly selling and buying again, or if it's time to downsize and retire. Thanks so much for listening, and drop your comments down below and like and subscribe to the channel for more updates.